G'day everyone, welcome to another edition of Craps Down Under. Today I'm going to continue building our bankroll. My last video I did the 3 hits, looked at where we got to on that video, and we did get right down to the very last kind of go pretty much. So I'm going to take a little bit more conservative approach this time. So I'm going to take my $600. Now I'm actually going to use this, give us a little bit more runway, but that'll give us $700. So let's get some greens, and I'll explain what I'm going to do. I'm probably just going to take the 2 hits, then I'll regress, and if we get the 3rd, that's great. If we don't, we've still made some decent profit. That's kind of the approach I'm going to use. So there we go, and I'll get another one of whites. That's basically our 700 there. Sorry, reds I mean. So that's our 700. So we can give all that back to the dealer, and I will need some whites, so I'll trade them in for some whites. We should be all set up. Alright, good. All set up. So we'll go up at the same level. Basically, just let me shake, make sure I've got everything there. Yep, beautiful. So go up at the same level. So it's $85 at risk, is what we're putting at risk. We'll go on. Take 2 dice. Alright, let's see what we get. And we've got an 8. So straight out of the box, we got the 8, and that will pay us 35. And with our 35, we'll press up to the 42. So we're still using our winnings to press up. Basically, we've basically only racked effectively $1 is what we've racked out of that. So all of our winnings are on the table. We're trying to get our 2nd hit. Need to remember to mark the point. Alright, so let's see what the shooter can do. 4. That doesn't affect us. And 10. So they're on the outsides. We're going to get there. We've got a 5. Alright. So we've got our 2 hits, which is what we kind of need. And this is basically a coin toss of all possible outcomes. On our first roll, before we get our first hit, we could get a 7. So that's going to happen 30% of the time. The other 70% of the time we get our hit. Now we've had our first hit. We've now got another trial of 30% chance of getting the 7 and 70% chance of getting our 2nd hit. So when you actually do the math on that, it ends up that overall it's a 49% chance versus a 51% chance that we won't make it. So it's roughly a 50%. It's a coin toss. But given the fact you've already had the first hit, you're now in the box seat. You're the box seat favourite to get the 2nd hit because you're at a 70% advantage against a 30% on the 7. And that's ignoring all the other dice combinations. So I'm going to kind of reiterate and reinforce the probabilities, and hopefully just by sharing those concepts, people will get a better understanding of how the probability works. So we do get paid there, and that's a nice payout. It's $49 for 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to regress down and out. So I'm going to take these 2, we'll pick up the 9, but all this, so we're basically pulling back 125 back into our rack. Right, so as you can see, yes, we've got a few greens, a few reds on the felt, and a few whites as well, but we're already very, very healthy in our rack. We only have to do this a couple of times. Now, potentially I roll another one and we go, well, we could have gone home with 150 in 3 rolls. Yep, that could also happen. And that's what I was trying to do yesterday. But it did show to me that even with the bankroll we had at $600, there's a 95% chance we'd actually get that 3 hits. Overall, as a overall session, we could potentially get back-to-back losses over and over and over. But 95% of the time, we would actually have seen a win. If we were to take a bankroll, which I suggest to around a $1,200 bankroll, it's like 99.7% chance we'll be successful. So in getting our 3 hits. So, the more bankroll you bring, the more opportunity to have that, to see that 3 hits. That's why I thought, well, maybe the 600, even with 95%, that's still pretty good probability of success. It's equivalent to getting a 23. Most shooters are done by average roll of 8. Half the shooters only get to roll 5. They don't quite get to roll 6. So when you look at 95% of all shooters are done by roll 23, you're kind of in that realm of the exceptional roll rather than anywhere in the norm. So we kind of almost got to that point on our last session. So it was kind of interesting to see the extreme almost happen. So anyway, here we go. Now this is kind of a bit of a bonus round. We've already made a reasonable amount of profit, $50 or profit basically. All right. Because remember, we won 35 and we won 50. So that's not quite 50, but it's 49. So that's $84 of profit that we've actually made. Yes, we've got a little bit on the felt, but we've got I think 44 on the felt. So it's not too bad. All right, so we can either play aggressive, we can play conservative. It really depends how you feel. If we were to take all this down, you'd kind of see where we're at. We can't fit any more there. Most of our whites are there. You can very quickly see, we've literally made half of our profit target just on that first shooter with a few hits. So it's actually pretty good. I might take us down, but maybe I'll leave those 2 there. I'm not really worried at this point. I'm happy to kind of roll it out and just treat it as pretty much as a sort of a bonus round for this shooter. If we get some hits, then fantastic. But that's a yo. That's aces. Sorry, what am I saying? I keep getting my aces and my midnights mixed up, don't I? All right. Didn't sleep very well last night, so maybe that's why. Right. Look, they've rolled two rubbish numbers. I'm kind of inclined to think, let's just take it all down. All right, take it all down, and we'll just roll them out. See what happens here. 9. Okay, so maybe we missed out on a little bit there. And 6. So yeah, sure. The shooters done some pretty good. Done pretty good. Done very well. So yeah, staying up would have actually benefited. Certainly would have benefited by staying up. Wow. So this is a fantastic roll. 4. It's on the outside. On the inside again. 6. So can't complain about this shooter. They're really having a fantastic roll. And certainly we could be staying up, and we could have made all of our profit and then some if we'd have kept pressing. So potentially that was a mistake of mine to pull it down too early. But again, I'm just trying to be conservative, so they just keep hitting points. It's exactly the hand we should be on, and it just keeps going. Now I am aware we're fairly along in the hand, and that's why I'm reluctant to re-enter. And they haven't hit their point, surprisingly. But they've been hitting a lot of good numbers, a lot of money numbers for us. So I look at their efficiency of box numbers, or the numbers that we're playing, to the other numbers. They've done exceptionally well. On the 6 again. So yeah, it's very tempting to want to enter. Very, very tempting. They finally hit their point. There's an 8. So let's see if they do a come out 7 or something. A bit of rubbish there. Ace deuce. And a 9. So they're on the 9. So the question is do we want to re-enter? The shooter's doing everything right, but do we want to risk it? And given I've stayed out for so long, look, maybe I'll regret it, but I'll just go up for the minimum and see what happens. 4. I do regret not have actually got re-entering on that shooter. Hit their point. So we get paid $7. So kind of a crazy shooter, doing everything right. So we can just take that one down. So one of them's paid for. 6. So we weren't working. I didn't say we were working, but possibly could have. But I wanted to give them some room to hit the 7. All right. So another win there. Maybe I'll press that up. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe we'll get one. Sometimes it's better to be more concentrated. You could even do that. So maybe they'll hit that one. 9. Oh, sorry, yo. 10. 8. So that was a bad call. We were on the 8. We've concentrated our bet on the 6. And there's the 7. So anyway, that was a bit of a bonus gambit, I guess. We didn't quite capitalise on that, and that was probably very poorly played on my part by not staying in the hand. But we still need to. So we're well and truly ahead, given what we've got in whites. I think we're about 85, somewhere around there, $85 up. So you literally just need to kind of get a couple more hits and we're kind of done. All right, so let's work. So it's a bit scary, given that we've had a shooter just go on a tear with no 7s. Potentially we might expect to see some 7s, but that's kind of not how randomness works. You'll tend to see more clumping of numbers than anything. Not that you won't see perfect, 7 come out every 6 rolls and a 12 come out every 12 rolls. I mean, that you can have sequences where that happens too, but in general, numbers tend to clump around together. But you can't predict which ones are going to clump at any particular time, and the clumping is always changing. So it's still very much random, but when you actually look at it after the fact, you go, oh, there was a clump. Right, so we are working. 3. That does give some validity, I guess, to the idea of see a horn, bet a horn, those sorts of ideas, because you do see clumping. And if you think about it, imagine all the numbers, if they were all lined up on a tape, where 12 was every 36, and then the 2 was every 36, and you chop that tape up. And as soon as you start moving those, randomizing that around, you have no choice but for some numbers to be clustered together and other numbers to be dispersed or further apart. I mean, and that's what randomness is doing. You end up with clumps of numbers. That's a property of randomness. So I kind of hope I've illustrated that, but imagine you had a tape, and you had all the numbers and and wrote all the numbers in a box, and then you had a very, very long tape with all the numbers repeating in their exact frequencies over and over and over, a 7 every 6 rolls and, a 6 every 5 rolls, and you did that. and then you try and reorder any of those and shift them around, and you'll actually find that you have no choice but for numbers to clump. So, you know, the numbers don't come out like a Swiss watch in perfect frequency. That's not what happens, but it can happen. But it's just a very rare thing to see that. All right, so 4 is the point. Too much talking, I guess. Too much talking. All right, so we're on. Let's take that off. We don't need him. And we've got 6. All right. So that's a nice win, and that's $35. Now we'll do the press, and press and put our caps on. Just hoping to get our second hit. And if we get that, I think we're pretty much done. Alright, so we got him. 5. So I think this is actually a little bit more of a reliable play than what I did in my last video. Just demanding less of the table. So let's see, let's take our action down, let's see where we're at. Because I believe we're pretty close to our kind of profit target, which, well, we are playing with a slightly larger bankroll. Remember, we are playing with 700 today. So that would mean 140 is our kind of 20% target, now up to 210. So let's see where we're at. So I do need to remember that fact that, so we've got 500 here, nothing can go in here. That's 500, 600, 700. All right, so I've got 700 there in Iraq plus, you know, I don't know, what's that, 17 whites, something like that. Yep, plus $17. All right, so I've got, what do we got here? 75, 100, 150. So we've cleared our profit target. There's really nothing more we have to do. And yes, we are playing with a slightly larger bankroll. I thought, well, may as well use it because it's not really at a substantial level over there. But I don't want to use too much more than that because I want to kind of stay at a very, very close to what my reserve bankrolls are. I want to kind of keep that, you know, relatively the same level, because I don't want to get used to betting at a high level and then, you know, imagine you get used to betting at a high level and then you've geared up and then you have a bad run. You have to now use a reserve bankroll, and now you've got to kind of readjust your expectations back down. And I don't want that leveling down to be too big a drop. I think, you know, you can probably come unstuck, and that's why I'm trying to sort of keep them relatively the same. Because, you know, I could quite easily go, oh, well, I'll just split. I'll just get one big reserve bankroll and use half of it in my session. But to me, that's just not resilient enough. Planning to have adverse events. And so 150, 60, 70. So well and truly, you know, met our profit target there. So I'll colour that up for a black. And let's see what we've got here. Might be able to colour some of this up. So let's colour it all up. This will go back into the 5. So I've got one spare there. That's another green. All right. That's a red, of course. Okay. So that's the job done. As far as I'm concerned, job done. Now we can take all this back. We know that that's basically at $700. All right, 600, 700. All right, I could actually do it like this. We're on to purples now. All right, do that. I like seeing purple chips, kind of nice. All right, so there's our $700, 600. What I'll do, I'll take all this back. can go back to the house, of course, because we've coloured up. Chuck that back in our bankroll. That's our bankroll, $600 bankroll. And here we're now got 200, 275, 80, 91. So 291 is what we've got as our reserve bankroll, which is kind of nice. It's really, really nice. So let's, I guess just for giggles, I'll roll this out. When I'm doing this, just understand this is not really what might have happened. It's a bit of a joke because, you know, when I'm colouring up or paying out, my muscle movement is going to be completely different. So it doesn't really, you know, we can't really say, oh, geez, if we'd have stayed in, this would have happened. It's really a bit of a joke. It's a bit of a laugh, you know. It's like star signs or something, you know. We're just doing it for a giggle to see what might have been. All right, so yo, doesn't affect us. 8. All right. 5. So this is what I'm saying. In my last video, we really struggled to see any kind of repeaters, and you almost were thinking, oh, you know, that's too big a risk. But obviously, this session's been the exact opposite. If I'd have just gone 1, 2, 3, bang, 156 or 154, whatever it is, $154 profit after three rolls, and we would have been done. And in fact, you could have stayed on and played bonus round and just collected $100 chips if you really wanted to. And I think we'll probably start to do more of that as we get a little bit more, you know, at the bankroll. I want the bankroll to be a little bit bigger than what it is, where I start being a little bit more relaxed in letting those hot rolls just keep running at a reasonable level too. That's kind of where I want to do it. I want to be able to afford to take that gamble. I still don't think we're solid enough. And again, another hit. So, you know, this is where playing that 5, 6, 8, or the 3 numbers, you know, this is, you're collecting black chips every single number. All right, every time. And that's not with any further pressing. Often I think it's actually good, collect some black chips, regress down, press up again. You can do that kind of thing as well, especially in the very early stage. I think it's okay to collect 1 black chip, then potentially regress down. It depends where you are. If you're already in the profit, then don't need to do anything. You can just keep collecting. 10. 9. And another thing you also notice, I did expand after I had my 2 hits. I also expanded, and the benefit of doing the expansion is even when you go for your 3rd hit, your overall probability of success of getting 3 hits, because you've gone on the 3rd number, it does actually stay up higher. It stays up at that basically that 50% level to get the 3 hits. So it's probably not a bad thing. 4, so we hit their point. All right. 9. All right, so if we were working, that'd be another hit, but who knows what we're doing by this stage. 10. 9, hit their point. So 8. So, you know, two amazing shooters, nothing to worry about. Hit their point. All right. 9. Back on that 9. I love the 9. And there's our 7. All right. So, hope you enjoyed that. I think we've done really well. We took a very little amount of risk. We literally had no downside from what I saw. We just collected. So it was a very, 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 very nice session, and most of the session has been me talking and not playing. So this road to 3K so far is actually not too bad. We're actually you know, almost at $300 of our target, of our overall $1,000 target. So about a third, almost a third of the way already. So we will see that. Obviously, we upping the bet size a little bit. That certainly allows us to get there faster, and certainly playing the way I'm playing with the 2 hits regress, I think is better than the 3. So my first video sort of showed me that yes, it's still too fragile, and I kind of gave a fair bit of thought after that video and did some more math and calculating, and they kind of told me, look, it's at that bankroll, it's a little bit too fragile. 95% is great, but not good enough, especially if you've already sustained a series of losses that you have to recuperate. But if you saw that video, we recuperated in a very few number of hits, very few number of hits. So we actually got it all back very, very quickly. So it did recover very, very well. And we really, literally got, you know, everything back plus our profit in literally a very efficient way. So when you get that shooter that makes those few hits, it's fantastic, but you do have to endure almost getting there and then getting you know, knocked out again. So as we've seen, it varies from session to session. You just never know what you're going to get on the day. So anyway, look forward to your comments and feedback, and we'll see you again very soon as we continue to grow this to 3K. And I don't think it'll be too far or too long before we get there. So thanks again.